Welcome to Thriver TV, the place to break free with true solutions to heal for real from narcissistic abuse and painful relationship patterns. And more than just information to survive, you are granted the tools to thrive. In today's Thriver TV, I'm going to be going through with you what a false self means, why the narcissist's true self is so damaged and ineffective, and how a person who is living their life through their false self behaves, and why this is so incredibly damaging and truly devastating for you to live with. And how such a powerful opportunity can emerge for you to anchor into and activate your true self. Okay. So just before we get started, I'd love to remind you to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and please like this video if you find it healing and helpful. All right, let's get started. What is a false self? This is a person who is not being authentic. This is somebody who is an actor. They're living through a charade. They're being something other than their true self to secure an agenda. So this is a person who is telling people what they want to hear. They're manipulating. So what is happening with a false self is that they are pretending to be something that they're not actually feeling on the inside. They're doing what they're doing to be able to get their needs met, not in constructive or healthy or authentic ways. Why are they doing this? Why are they actually doing this? Why aren't they just being honest about what's going on for them, or what they're feeling, or what they really need? And why aren't they capable of actually tapping into somebody else's true feelings, or meeting their feelings or their needs in healthy ways? Why has a narcissist made it all about themselves? A false self is incredibly insecure. A false self is very damaged. So why is a false self so damaged and so insecure? It's all to do with the state of their true self. So what state is the narcissist's true self in? The narcissist's true self has been shriveled up, it's been disowned, it's been divorced by the narcissist. The narcissist's true self is not effective, and it's actually catatonic. And the reason it's like that is because at some point in the narcissist's life, either consciously or unconsciously, the narcissist decided that I can't get my needs met by being myself. And the narcissist's true self, because it's damaged, it's disowned, it never grew up to be a whole, wholesome, at peace, in a solid entity, the narcissist despises it. It's the part of the narcissist that is needy, that is broken, that feels self-annihilating. It's traumatized, and it's not whole. And the narcissist's false self narrative is I'm powerful, I'm omnipotent, I'm admired, I'm revered, I'm feared, I'm significant. Whereas the narcissist's inner being feels grossly insignificant and insecure. And the thing is, with all trauma, for everybody, all ignored and repressed trauma will make itself felt. So the narcissist always has this gnawing state of the true self, insecurity, fear, and pain that is always bubbling up to the surface. And the false self veneer is what is trying to control that and medicate that and stop that. So the disowned, traumatized true self That the narcissist is not turning inwards to heal up to wholeness and inner peace and security. And because that's always bubbling away, the false self has to be more active all the time to try to quell the screams of that broken inner child. And the narcissist does not want to heal or help the inner child and doesn't want anybody else to heal and help the inner child. The narcissist wants the child to shut up. And the way the narcissist is doing that is with the self-medication of narcissistic supply to try to quell those screams. So how are they going to behave? With a ton of defense mechanisms. And I've written about it before in Am I Being Abused by a Narcissist? Those defense mechanisms. And those defense mechanisms, when you encounter them, when you're prodding for accountability or you have any critique about what the narcissist is doing or how they're behaving, you will see those defense mechanisms come up. And those defense mechanisms are, how dare you challenge the narrative of the false self? The false self is beyond reproach. The false self is perfect. The false self does no wrong. The false self is to be admired, upheld, feared, revered, and significant regardless of how the narcissist behaves. So these defense mechanisms are, do not tell me there's something wrong with me. This is why narcissists don't heal. And the thing is with the false self, to uphold the narrative, the lie that's presented to the world, the pathological lie of this is who I really am. Well, no, you're not. To uphold that lie, the false self will often go to any measures necessary. So there will be a lie on top of a lie. There will be all sorts of diversions. There will be all sorts of tricks and twists and projections. And these are the things that when they're coming towards you, that will make you feel crazy. And they will make you feel like you can't cope with this. Because it's not normal. It really, so a narcissist will cut off their nose to spite their face. They will throw all and sundry and even themselves under a bus to retain the veneer of the false self. That's how, and it's insane. It doesn't make sense to us because it doesn't create happiness and it doesn't create healing or love or resolution for anything. So you're not going to get resolution in your dealings with these people. You're not going to get sanity and you're not going to get outcomes that make you feel safe or healthy or loved in any sense. Okay, so how it's going to affect you is devastatingly. What it means is that you're not going to be loved by this person. You're not going to feel safe, you're not going to feel held, you're not going to be heard because you are competing with the true master, which has taken over the narcissist, which is the false self. And this is what you need to understand, that the false self is an entity of itself. It is a takeover. It's an egoic takeover. The narcissist has been pulled away from the light of oneness, which is self-partnering with self and partnering with life and others in holistic and healthy ways that co-generate more health and wholesomeness. The narcissist has been pulled into the darkness by the false self, cut off from all of that, and is a run-amok entity now that has grabbed control of the narcissist. So what that means is the inner self, the inner true self to the narcissist now is deemed irrelevant, which means everything on the outside is deemed irrelevant as well, except to serve the master who is the false self. So you are a tool. You are simply something to feed off and mine to serve the false self. your resources, your emotions, your life force, your soul, your body, your sexual self, your contacts, your money, your attention. Everything is put on a plate for the false self to feed on. That's it. So, and of course, as a soulful human being who is connected to humanity and love and truth and goodness, you're fighting for that. But you're fighting a battle, a war with a false self that you're never going to win, because the false self is not interested in love or connection or wholeness or truth or relationship or solution. In fact, to the false self, to have harmony and cooperation and love is disgraceful. The false self doesn't want that, because that means that they cannot control the narrative of I am superior and significant to everything. You are never going to beat that narrative. You are never going to tame that narrative into something different, ever. And this is why the more you try to love and solve and create solution or understanding, you know that you start being in the position where you feel like a parent trying to explain to a broken, angry, destructive child the very fundaments of humanity and behavior that actually works in a civilized human society. And you know that your average 5-year-old is going to understand and respond better than what this entity does. Because this entity is not interested in peace, harmony, and love. They want chaos and they want to feed all of your stuff in your soul, no matter what the narcissist gets from you. The false self will never be satisfied. Enough is never enough. And just when the narcissist themselves feels like they're high on narcissistic supply and they're happy and they're the most delightful, beautiful, incredible people you could ever imagine, who are granting you copious amounts of adoration and love, and you're on that high, inevitably, sooner or later, and usually sooner, the insatiable false self is hungry again, needy again. The true self, damaged, broken self, is bubbling up with the insecurities and the trauma and the torment. And the false self has got to strike out and get more again. And you go down again because you're going to get lined up and smashed again. And this is the cycle. This is a cycle of violence with narcissistic abuse, and this is the thing that you're never going to get out of. So, what is this really all about for us? Because as thrivers, we understand that to look outwards and just learn about that and try and change that and try and fix that and lecture and prescribe is not going to save you, ever. And this is what I'm always talking about on this channel and the Thriver Way. And this is why our information is often so different to just the information that you are getting, because this is about true solution. This is about your savior is your true self. So let me explain it to you in this way about the absolute truth energetically that is going on in all of our lives. And narcissistic abuse is an energetic phenomena. This energetic reality of a false self means that we can only be caught up in that if we haven't as yet healed ourselves to be an authentic true self. Because for so many of us, we came from backgrounds, we came from historical trauma, generational trauma, childhood trauma, that we weren't actually healed up as adults in our bodies, knowing that we have the ability, the capacity, and the right to generate our own love, approval, survival, and security. We were taught that we're going to get that from the outside, which is actually, and it's no fault of our own, it's actually a childish premise that as a child we were powerless, and as adults we've still felt powerless. That somebody has got to give me love, approval, survival, and security. And this is the thing, narcissists as a false self, as a false narrative, come in pretending to be those things, and they're not at all, because they know that that's a manipulation that hooks people into getting hooked on them, and then they can mine them, strip them of their soul resources and life force, and keep feeding while that person tries to force them into being the love, approval, and survival and security that they haven't yet energetically, emotionally anchored into on the inside for themselves. So how do we heal for real from this? By becoming a true self source to ourselves. So how do we do that? How do we do that? Because it sounds great, but how do we do that? How we do that is that we say, we recognize this is a false self that I'm never going to get those things from. In fact, I'm going to get the anti of those things. I'm going to get less of those things and lose what I do have of those things. So we say no more. And what we do is we go no contact, modified contact, then we turn inwards to heal up those not yet whole parts of ourselves to come into the truth and the power of, I feel whole enough now that I've healed enough of these parts of myself. And I keep doing it because you are going to keep triggering every part of me that feels insecure, broken, needy, unsafe, and I'm going to try and force you to be those things for me. That's going to go on and on and on for a while. And this is why we have to do that dedicated inner work to break that bond, that connection, that energetic phenomena. What I'm really saying to you, that I was just preparing you to understand, is if we're not a true source to ourselves, well, then we have a false narrative. And the false narrative is something outside of me is responsible for myself. It's actually not the truth. Because as a quantum creator, as a part of source, as a part of creation itself, you are made of the same stuff. You are your savior. You are your creator. And the gorgeous thing is, once you become that to yourself, false selves become quite repulsive. They are no longer the replay of our unfinished stuff, which is mum or dad or authority figure or significant person in my life when I was a child. Please do it better this time. That's what we're playing out unconsciously when we're hooked to people that continue to hurt us and we try to force them to be our savior. Let go. Come in. You are the person your inner being is waiting for. It's your love, it's your devotion, it's your attention, it's your healing. It's what self-partnering is. Okay, so now I want you to pause this video and take a stand for yourself by writing this power mantra in the comments below. And you can say this to yourself as often as you need to. I now withdraw from you, false self, and turn inwards to grant me the true love that I am and deserve. By doing so, I will draw more true love into my life. Okay, so I hope that this has really helped. And you now understand what a false self is and how there is no true self capacity available to grant you what you really want: love, truth, and kindness. And the more you try, the more that you're going to be damaged. I'd really love to help you get very, very clear about who and what you are dealing with here. And I can do that by helping connect you to my narcissistic identification quiz. It's only going to take a minute or so of your time, and it's going to let you know the capacity or otherwise of this person to be nice or not. And also too, it's going to grant you a free 7-day information and empowering guide to help you, which is all really free. And it's going to help you get clarity, relief, and power back regarding what you're dealing with. Okay, so you can connect to this quiz by clicking the link at the top right of this video. All right, so again, I hope that this has really helped. And as always, I look forward to your comments and your questions below. So until the next one, keep smiling, keep healing, and keep thriving, because there is nothing else to do. Lots of love. Bye-bye.